So with the fantastic Gaultier Ultra Male potentially being discontinued, I thought it was time to do a proper comparison between the two clones, Afnan 9Pm and Lattafa Ramz Silver, to see which is the best clone. Before I begin, please drop a like on this video, thank you, and make sure you subscribe. So let's start with our baseline, which is the original Ultra Male. Some of the notes in Gaultier Ultra Male are pear, lavender, mint, bergamot, lemon, cinnamon, clary sage, caraway, black vanilla husk, amber, patchouli and cedar. This opens up bright, semi-sweet and a bit spicy. That mint is right there in the opening, giving it a fantastic sort of a brightness. The opening is also where clary sage and lavender is the most prominent. I love that part, by the way, and of course that pear. The opening is bright, sort of a fresh with a prominent dose of fruitiness and mint, and to me it's a very smooth kind of aromatic brightness with that fruitiness. There's a bit of sweetness in the opening, but to me it's more sort of a bright, fresh and fruity. However, as it dries down, that initial dose of brightness gets a lot softer, and that fruitiness and that sweetness gets amped up. This is where that pear really comes forward, and it's loud, it's juicy. I think it's absolutely fantastic, but in a very smooth way. And the dry down is also where that vanilla really comes forward, and it's basically all about that duo of pear and vanilla with the combo of clary sage and lavender with a bit of mint in the background, and everything is quite sweet and a bit spicy. This is very sweet and very fruity, but I don't think it ever becomes too sweet or sort of a messy. And I do think there's a fantastic sort of a smoothness to it all. This is a modern classic and I think it's fantastic. A compliment getter that is still quite a unique scent. Some of the notes in Lattafa Ramz Silver are pear, lavender, mint, bergamot, cardamom, sage, vanilla, amber, musk and patchouli. So note-wise, this is fairly similar to Ultra Male, and as soon as you spray it on, you get quite strong Ultra Male vibes. So it's good, but there's a difference. Everything about it feels sort of a darker, so that initial dose of freshness does not feel quite as bright, and to me actually not as good. That aromatic tree of sage, mint and lavender doesn't quite pop in the same way in Ramz Silver as in Ultra Male, and I feel pretty much the same about the pear. It's not as loud and sort of a delicious as the original. And it's not just that it feels a bit darker, the notes smell a bit different as well. But with that said, this thing is good, I like it. The dry down is a bit different as well, in that it's more sort of vanillic and musky and less fruity sweet than the original. And one big difference to me is that it lacks that sort of a smoothness that I feel is so attractive in the original. And I do feel it sort of collapses or falls flat about an hour or two into the dry down. So it smells really good the first couple of hours, but then quite quickly becomes sort of a bit flat and not as exciting. So in a nutshell, this is like a darker version of the original that has less freshness and sort of a brightness, and with a less intense dose of fruity sweetness, which is both a good thing and a bad thing. Good in that it's almost like a more mature, darker, slightly more sort of mysterious kind of scent, whereas the original is this loud, here I am kind of fantastic scent. Ramz Silver will to some people smell a bit more masculine due to its less intense and sort of a darker dose of fruity sweetness. Some of the notes in Afnan 9Pm are apple, cinnamon, lavender, bergamot, orange blossom, lily of the valley, vanilla, tonka bean, amber and patchouli. So 9Pm opens up Ultra Male-ish for sure, but I do feel there's a quite clear difference. It doesn't have the same punchy initial dose of aromatic freshness, in that the lavender feels a bit different and there's no minty kind of freshness and brightness. And the biggest difference of course is that it's a different kind of fruitiness with the apple and not the pear. I like it a lot though, and I do think it's very cool that they managed to achieve this level of sort of an Ultra Male vibe with two of the main players, that pear and that mint, not being present. The dry down is where that vanilla just goes up and everything is quite ambery with a bit of the apple in the background and a big, and I really mean it, a big dose of sweetness. It's vanillic, sweet and ambery with a bit of fruitiness. This, just like Ramz Silver, lacks that fantastic sort of a smoothness of the original, but it smells really good. And I do want to say that in the air, most people will not notice the difference. So comparing them when it comes to usage, I'm gonna say they are all in the same sort of area, and I do feel you can use them throughout the year. Just mind your sprays on the warmest of days. I know some people think that the Ultra sort of a DNA is just for clubbing, but that's to say that all fruity sweet fragrances are reserved for clubbing, and I don't agree with that. These are mass appealing scents that most people in most situations will think smells really good. When it comes to performance, the original Ultra has always performed quite well on my skin. When it comes to Ramz Silver, I initially got the impression of decent performance, but the more I use it, the more I realize that it's above average for like the first couple of hours, and then it starts to sit quite close to your skin. It's not a strong scent, but it's not weak either. It's a bit above average, but I do feel that its projection starts to go down a bit too fast. Afnan 9Pm is strong, and it's probably a bit stronger than Ultra Male as well, so when it comes to performance, Afnan wins for sure. So who are these three for? These three are basically fruity sweet fragrances, and for someone who enjoys just that. If you are not into fruity sweet fragrances, stay away. So which is the best Ultra Male clone? Both smell good for sure, there's no doubt about that. And both have their sort of a pros and cons when it comes to how they compare to the original. So it's more like which kind of Ultra Male-ish scent you prefer. But going through this comparison, I realized that Ramz Silver in a way sort of smells a bit more nuanced and a bit closer to the original than Afnan 9Pm. But only for like the first couple of hours, then I feel it starts to change quite a bit. 9Pm smells a bit different compared to the original, but it has solid Ultra Male vibes. And when Ramz Silver goes into its sort of a more flat stage, 9Pm just keeps going strong. And that was actually the thing that made me decide that 9Pm is the better clone. It's definitely not a perfect clone, but it's close enough, and its performance just makes it supreme. However, Ramz Silver smells really good, and it's definitely a bit more Ultra Male-ish. But really, where I feel it fails is how quickly it changes and turns into something that is not as exciting as the opening through to the mids. If you think you would prefer sort of a darker, less fruity, intense version of the original, go for Ramz Silver. If you think you would prefer something a lot stronger and with a different kind of fruitiness, go for 9Pm. So there you go. I do think that both of these are good scents with that Ultra Male vibe, and I can recommend both for that Ultra Male-ish kind of scent. But I do prefer Afnan 9Pm and its performance, and if I had to choose between these two, I would definitely go with 9Pm. I would love to know which of these you feel is the very best Ultra Male clone, so make sure you put that in the comments. Like this video, thank you, I really do appreciate it. Make sure you hit that subscribe, make sure you hit that notification bell, make sure you check out the videos over there. Oh yes, and I'll see you in the next one.